Hello everyone and welcome to the latest edition of the Straight Shootin series. We are joined today by the one and only Kamala. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
The date is August 14th, 2004. And let's start right at the beginning of your career. Why did you want to get into the wrestling business?
At the time I was living in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and looking for a job every day, and I couldn't find a job, so I remember this guy that was taking me around because I didn't have a car in 1975. And after I couldn't find a job, I used to love to watch wrestling on television, but never wanted to be one. I never wanted to get into business. And so finally one day I told him, I said, I just ought to go wrestling. And I just got disgusted. He hit his brakes and he turned around. He said, I can take you to a guy that trained you for wrestling, but I didn't really mean it. So he took me to Bobo Brazil. But Bobo wasn't home, so he took me to Bobo's best friend for him to train me. And I mean, I was some kind of nervous, going through this, but I never would change my mind. So they trained me for a while there, and after that, it came a big snow, and I don't like snow, so I moved to Arkansas. And I called around, and I found a guy called Mario Galento. He's deceased now. And he and his wife is the one that trained me around Memphis.
Okay. Was there ever a point in the training that you wanted to quit, or?
Yeah, not because of the training. Yeah, I mean, the training was hard, but, after I had gotten into it, I was determined. But it was time that I wanted to quit because, no money was coming in, and, I didn't have any money. So that kind of made me want to quit.
So it wasn't the physical part of it at all?
No, not at all.
Okay. Where did you come up with your first gimmick, the Sugar Bear Harris gimmick?
When I was in high school, I played high school football. And that was the name that they used to call me. They got it from some series, some kind of series like cornflakes or something like that. But I think it was Sugar Crisp. So that's where it come up from. That was back when I was a teenager.
Okay. Who did you learn the most from early in your career?
The great Mephisto, who is first cousin of John Skandar Akbar. He taught me, he took me on his wings, and he taught me everything.
What were some of the main things that you learned from him?
I learned how to, as we call it, sell, I learned how to call a match. I learned how to make people believe what I was doing. And he taught me how to be vicious, which I loved at that part. That's because I like working heel. So I learned most everything from the great Mephisto. Who
were some of your favorite guys, like early when you were the Sugar Bear Harris to work?
Guys like Tone Boogaloo Shaft, Poke Chop Cash, guys like that. Donnie Fargo. I don't know if you remember any of those guys though, but those guys was great to work with back during the day. And I mean, I had a real good time with them. Had a good relationship with them.
Did anybody give you a hard time or try to make you quit or make things especially tough on you?
Yeah, I had some of the guys that tell me that, that there was no money in wrestling, that I wasn't going to make it in wrestling, because I was 28 years old when I got into the wrestling, when I first started. And they told me that I started late and that I probably need to find something else to do, find me a real job. But, I wouldn't listen to that. I just kept right on.
Early in your career, you were managed by Percy Pringle, who a lot of fans might know as Paul Bearer. What was he like back then?
Oh, he was a funny guy, a real good friend, and we traveled up and down the road together. We done a lot of stuff together. He was real good to work with. I love Percy to death.
How did he change over the years? Because you've encountered him many times over the course of your career.
How did I change?
No, he changed, Percy Pringle.
Well, after we left, the promotion didn't even have a name down in Mississippi. But after we left there, we kind of split up, and it was years because he is a real undertaker, a mortician. So we split up for years, and the next time we saw each other was in Dallas, and but we never did get together again for his managing. But we talked about old times, and I mean that was it.
Did he ever change with success, like when he went to WWF?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He was great when we was when I first started, and he was great the last time I saw him.
Okay. Then early in your career, you also ended up going to Europe. How did that come about?
Because I couldn't find work in the state, as a wrestler. So first I went to Mexico, and I almost started there down there. So I left Mexico and I went to England because it was just so hard in Mississippi, in the United States for me without a name to find work. So joint promotion out of London, they saw me one year. I was in Germany for just briefly, and they asked me did I want to come to England, and I said yes. They said they'll take care of everything, and and I could make a little money. So I left and went to Europe.
How do you like your time in England?
I didn't like England, but the guys there was all right. I didn't like England, and I still don't like it. It's okay to just go there for for a few days and come back, but I just didn't like England.
How about Mexico with the whole lucha libre style? How did you adjust to that?
Pretty well. I like Mexico a lot better than England. Mexico was all right, but I still wasn't making any money, so it was hard on me.
Did you learn anything about working in England and Mexico?
Yeah, I learned a lot. I learned how to, England, I learned how to be a heel. It was great guys that I worked with, like Wayne Bridges and a host of others. And they would always work with me. I was a lot bigger than I am now. And, I could just kind of do like I wanted. Got a chance to just let myself loose, and I could kind of do like I wanted, and I learned from that.
Then when you returned to the United States, you started wrestling under the Mississippi Mauler name. But how did that all come about?
No, the Mississippi Mauler, that's the name I was wrestling within England.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did that whole name come about?
I used to like to watch this guy called the Missouri Mauler. And so, but I didn't want to use the name in the state. So I thought if I got way away from home that I could use it and it would be okay. So that's what I did.
Okay. When you returned back to the United States, that's when you first went to Memphis, right?
Yeah, I got my ankle broke in London. So it was no need for me to stay on over there. I had been gone for a couple of years. So when I got back home, I was on crutches. So all of my belongings, my wrestling gear and stuff, it was coming by sea. I was moving back home, so that's slow. So I went to Memphis one night to talk to the Dream Machine about me some wrestling gear, even though my ankle was broke, but I didn't know how long it was going to take for my belonging to come from England. So I saw Lawler, Jared, they were looking at me and like, who are you? We had met before, but they didn't want me to go in the dressing room because they wasn't quite sure because I had shaved my head during that time. And I told them who I was. They said, how would you like to make a lot of money? I said, I'm all for that, but I've been told that a lot of time and haven't made nothing yet. So anyway, they said, well, I tell you what you do. You go home right now, and I'm going to give you a call this Wednesday. And they did. And they had me to meet them in Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is right in Nashville. They all say that the little video that I done, Me in the Jungle, was at Lawler's house, but it was Lawler living in Memphis. This was in Hendersonville at Jared's house. And that's what we done in it. And Jerry Lawler, of course, he came up with the name Kamala, Kimala. But I wanted to be an inventor myself. After I got pretty well established, I changed it to Kamala. I wanted to be the inventor. So that's how it come up.
What did you think of the whole idea for the gimmick? Did Lawler come to you with the whole idea and then you added on to it?
Yeah, he did. But now, when I was in England, I always wanted to paint my face. The Great Mephisto was the first one that brought it up. He told me, "Sir, I believe, I lived in Africa too." He said, "I believe if you come back here with an African gimmick, that you can make yourself a lot of money." But Lawler was the one that really come up with the Kamala gimmick. He started the painting and everything, but then I learned how to paint on my own. After I saw it was going to make me a few dollars, then I started doing it myself. So I do all of my painting. I make all of my sketches that I wrestle in and everything. I make them by hand.
When Lawler came to you with the idea, what was your first thoughts about the whole gimmick?
Oh, I loved it myself because I love the clown. And him and Jared both, they thought that I might have been embarrassed to go out with all the paint on my face and wearing a little lava skirt and all of that. No, just put it on me and see. So I went out there and I've been Kamala ever since.
Did you immediately feel at home doing the gimmick?
Yeah. Yeah, I was real comfortable and I'm still comfortable doing it.
How about some of the mannerisms of the gimmick, like the patting the belly? And just the style with the chops and everything? Whose ideas were those?
Those were my ideas. And I can't remember yet where I come up with the idea of just patting my belly. I just out of the blue started doing it.
Yeah. How about when you used to try to pin the guys when they were on their stomach?
Yeah, that's my idea too. It just came to me, and I started doing it.
Well, what were your first impressions of Jerry Jarrett?
Jarrett, I had heard a lot of bad things about him and very few good things. And but when I was there, I thought because when I went there, it drew good sellouts everywhere, and I thought I would get paid, and I thought he would respect me enough to pay me, but he didn't. Like most promoters, they don't. So he was not he really didn't impress me a lot.
Did your thoughts about Jerry Jarrett change over time, or are those still pretty much your feelings towards him?
Those are my feelings towards him now, because Jared has asked me when they first opened a TNA about coming in, but they didn't want to pay me no money. They didn't want me to have, they wanted me to pay for my own way there, rent a car and everything, motel, and I wouldn't do it. That's why I hadn't been there. And they have contacted me a few times since, and I wouldn't do it.
Have they increased the offer to you since then?
They increased it, but it wasn't about nothing.
Is it
and
just
I wouldn't do it.
more like you were insulted with the initial
Yes,
offer?
it was very much insulted.
How about Jerry Lawler? What were your first impressions of him?
I've heard a lot of negative things about Jerry Lawler, but I've always got along real good with Jerry. I've had some great matches with Jerry, and I still do.
Back in your first run in Memphis with your first feud against Jerry Lawler, what were some of your favorite angles and matches against him? Anything spring to mind?
Like he would throw the fire or something like that. And that's what most of the people would talk about. When Lawler threw the fire, because they saw me when he threw the fire, he didn't burn me. When he threw the fire, I was running so fast and I hit the curtains. And that's what most people talk about, even today. Lawler threw the fire. And he's just a good man to work with.
Was there one time when he threw the fire and you were wearing the mask, and I heard a story about how you kind of got burned because the fire caught on with the mask?
No.
Okay.
No, that never happened.
Okay.
If by it being fire, I would remember.
Yeah.
But that never happened.
Okay. How about the mask and the spear? Where did the ideas for those things come from?
Like I say, I lived in Kenya, and I saw a lot of things over there, and I brought one mask back from Nairobi, and I made the spear here at home.
Okay. Were those your ideas?
Yeah, those are my ideas.
Okay. Going back to that first video that introduced you where you're coming out of the jungle, what did you think of that whole idea and how the video came off?
Oh, I love it. I still do. I think that was That's a beauty.
What do you think about it works so well?
What I think about it?
Yeah, like why do you think that it worked so well as far as getting you introduced?
Because, you know, it just looks so, I don't know how to say it, but me coming out of the jungle and all the birds and things singing and dressed like that, and during that time, nobody ever done that in wrestling that I can remember. And people believed it, because when I went to the Coliseum that night, the night before I became Kamala, it was nobody in the house. That's when I went to see the Dream Machine. Nobody was there. They did this little video of me coming out of the woods, and they showed it on television that Saturday, because that's live TV, and said that I was going to be there that Monday night, and it was sold out. It went from maybe 600 or 800 people to 11,000 people, and I was proud of myself.
Did Jared reward you with a good payday for that?
No, no good paydays. No good paydays. Back during that time, with sellouts everywhere, excuse me, even though it was in the 80s, I would make sometime $1,500 to $2,500 a week. That was more money than I had ever made, but that was not the money that was due to me because of my drawing power during that time. So I learned then that it was, in wrestling business, is really no justice for a black man. I mean, that's just the truth. And I know people will say, you always use this excuse because I'm black, and a lot of us do. But you can see it plain as day. No black champions in like WWE or something like that, back when it meant so. Now anybody could be a champion, and it don't mean nothing.
Was there ever any like outright in your face kind of racism, or do you think it was more where they just kind of screwed you on your paydays?
They screwed me on the paydays, and anytime, if you watch wrestling close, I used to sit at home and watch it, and I could call the shot. If a white man wrestling a black man, I said, don't care how he looked, I said, watch. Black man gonna lose right back, and I hit it on the head every time. This don't mean that I'm a racist or that I'm prejudiced. I mean, we here for facts, and it's the best that I know.
Did you ever get fed up with your paydays with Jared and ask him why they were so much lower?
Yeah, I went to him and he told me, say, you making more money than Lawler's making. You making more money than Jimmy Valiant. You making more money than Austin Owl. I don't know what those guys were making, but that's what Jared told me. And I didn't believe it.
Did you ever get with the other guys like Idol and Valiant and Lawler and talk about your prices? Or?
No, it was no need for that.
Then moving on to the next angle you did in Memphis, where Stan Frazier, who a lot of fans know as Uncle Elmer, what do you think of the angle where he wore the makeup too and called himself Kamala too?
Excuse the expression, but I think that was the worst piece of bullshit that they could have ever brought to wrestling. Back during that time, most people believed wrestling was for real. They believed me. That's why it drew so good. Alright, then I would say this. By me coming there, and with the drawing power that I had, even though they put the gimmick on me, with the drawing power that I had, they would rather lose money than to see me being a black man to come there and draw money like that. Because that's exactly what they did. They brought Plowboy Frazier in to kill me off. It was drawing real good, just me, Kamala. It was drawing real good, didn't care who I worked with. It was drawing real good. Then when they brought Plowboy Frazier in, he done been to Memphis as everything. Cowboys, some of everything, he'd been to Memphis. And who would know the Cowboys? And all of a sudden he come in and couldn't speak English. People say, oh, bullshit. You know what happened? the house went down. And after that, I told a friend of mine, I said, look, when you see Cowboy Bill Watts, see can you get me in that territory? He said, well, I'm going to see him this weekend. He came back and he said, Bill already got you booked down there. I didn't know that. And I left and went to Louisiana. And I will say this, out of all the promoters that I worked for, he was the best.
Really, a lot of people say that Bill Watts is one of the biggest racists in the wrestling business.
Yeah, but he looked the part, but I'm just going by the way he treated me. And I've heard a lot of people say that. A lot of them, black and white. But the way Bill treated me, I don't have anything bad to say.
On the subject of racism, would you say that it's better now compared to back in the day, or is it the same, or has it gotten worse?
I think it's about the same. It just has changed. Like I say, if I'm not mistaken, they put the bet on Booker T. It don't mean nothing now like when Hogan had it. So they'll let you have it now. They don't mind you. They don't care who had a belt now. It don't mean nothing. During my time, they wouldn't have done that. I mean, they put the belt on me down around Memphis. Memphis belt didn't mean nothing during that time. So yeah, it's still a lot of racism, but they just changed it around.
Was the racism back in the day, like let's say back in the Memphis and back in the Watts territory, was it more like a subtle, just behind the scenes thing? It wasn't kind of like an in your face kind of thing?
It was a little bit of both, but mostly behind the scenes. Because they would get you and come out, brother this, and they get behind the scene and cut your throat. But they doing that because they want to sell tickets to blacks and white. But they don't know what the blacks go through, being a professional wrestler.
Was there ever any incidences backstage or anything where somebody really did something wrong to you, or was it more where they just affect your paycheck?
Just my paycheck. Because in the wrestling, the guys never did bother me. Because I stayed to myself, and they probably knew that if they had, it would have been trouble. Not that I could have beat them or whooped them. I'm not a shooter. But even back then, at over 400 pounds, I still would sneak behind your back.
If an African American came up to you now and said, I want to get into the wrestling business, would you tell them to?
I would tell them what I've been through. And the way it will be, and it's still the same way. But I would tell them that you need to learn this for yourself. Because I'm an older man now, I'm over the hill, as they would call it. You'll think that I'm jealous, don't want you to get in it, because I'm not in it anymore. So you go for it and learn for yourself.
Okay. What do you think one of the first lessons that he'll learn is?
First thing he'll learn is he's not gonna get rich. And the next thing he'll learn is that he's gonna probably be a jobber. He stand I would say a 75% chance of being a jobber. And they just not gonna use him well.
Going back to the in-ring, you mentioned it was because of the whole Kamala 2 thing. That's why you left Memphis and went to Watts. What was is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What was your first impressions of Bill Watts as a person?
I knew when I got there that I was going to have a problem with Bill Watts because I had heard so much negative about him. I knew I was going to have a problem. I knew he was going to yell at me, but in my mind it was if I never made a dime, was to get him straight right off. But when I went there, it was a whole different thing. Bill Watts told everybody, because everybody believed in wrestling then. Bill Watts told all the guys, he said, look, this is Kamala, and this is the way I want you to refer to him around the wrestling fans as Kamala. And so he coming in, we're going to push him, and after we get him pushed up, we're going to build him up for the junkyard dog. And that made me feel real good. And Bill Watts came over to me, and he told me, said, "You gonna make a lot of money here. You got a hell of a gimmick." My heart was racing, because I've been poor all my life. The only thing I could think about then is me and my mama home. It was great.
Did you think Bill Watts was sincere when he said that to you?
He was. He proved it. He proved it.
You think it was a matter of Bill Watts, like, he saw more dollar signs than the racist side taking over?
Yeah, exactly. He saw more dollar signs. Yeah.
How far did you go outside the ring as far as keeping kayfabe and making people believe the gimmick?
Back during that time, I was with Friday, who is deceased now. But we had a van that we traveled in. And people never did, when I get to the arena, when they open the doors on the van, people there to see me. I had a long dress that I wore. And I would sit in the van until he'd come and open the door. He'd try to get me out. I wouldn't come, I wouldn't budge. He'd reach in the van to try to pull me out. I'd go back for my chop. So I remember a couple of times, the way he got me out, we had a chicken. And so what he did was he kept on, "Kamala, come on, come on, come out the van. Kamala, come on, we got to wrestle." I wouldn't come. So the way he got me out, we had this chicken, a live chicken. And he threw the chicken in the van and closed the doors. And by that time I took the chicken and tore him apart. And I just put my head all in him, and it was stinking and nasty though, but that was the gimmick. That's why I wanted to do that. Before he closed the door, he threw the chicken in, I grabbed the chicken and tore him apart, and all the people were standing outside and they saw all of that. Ooh, but I was ooh too, because it was smelly. But it was a hell of a gimmick. And after that, when the chicken died, I threw him over behind the seat, blood everywhere, and I have a few feathers around my mouth, and he opened the door and he begged for me. I sat there for a few minutes, then I come on out. Blood everywhere. And I love doing that kind of stuff.
How many people would actually see this?
Oh, all the fans, they are hanging around the back where the wrestlers go in at.
Yeah.
So a lot of them saw it. I remember one place that they saw it was Shreveport, Louisiana.
Was there ever a time when maybe you were sitting in a restaurant and a bunch of wrestling fans came in and you went in a gimmick? Like, how about if you were just walking down the street and somebody recognized you?
Okay, now I wouldn't walk down the street with my gimmick on. Just only to the wrestling arena or something like that. And they,
Do you think like a great deal of your success had to do with the fact that the people believe so much because of that outside the ring kind of stuff?
Yeah, I do believe that.
Did anybody, like, after seeing something like what you did with the chicken, would you still have anybody come up and try to get an autograph or try to meet you or anything like that?
Yeah, I had a lot of people would come up and try to get autograph, but back during that time, I wouldn't sign autograph.
Okay. Did you ever feel that there was a sense of like the fans had a real fear for you after seeing that kind of stuff?
Oh yes. Oh, I could just start the walls, people. They just scatter. But now they make me scatter.
Do you think it's ever possible to get that kind of believability back in wrestling again?
No.
Do you think that that's kind of like a lost art now, or it's just because the business has been exposed so much?
Because the business has been exposed so much.
What are your memories of your feud against the Junkyard Dog in Mid-South?
Junkyard Dog in the Mid-South, I remember when I first started, after Bill Watts built me up, started me to working with Junkyard Dog. And that's when I started making some money. $3,500 a week back during that time.
Wow.
That was good money to me. Small territory, didn't have to go nowhere. So it was great. And I saved every dime. Didn't have no bad habits, and I don't now. I saved every dime, and I bought me and my mama that home in 1983. I can just see it now. I remember the day that we moved in that home. May 3rd, 1983. And I always say, Junkyard Dog bought me this house. Even though Bill Watts was the one that paid me, I give both of them credit.
What was it like getting that first paycheck for that amount of money after all those years?
Well, I had come close, like I say, in Memphis I made like 2,500, 1,500. 25 was top there in Memphis, but when I got down to Bill Watts, this was every week, $3,500. And sometimes when I get when Bill Watts would pay me, he would give me my envelope. Some of the guys that work for him would give me my envelope. When I see it torn open, I know it's a bonus in there. Bill Watson is 3,500 plus. So it's a little bonus in there, $500-$600. I mean, that was great.
What do you think worked so well about your feud with the Junkyard Dog? Are there any angles or matches that stand out to you from that?
Yeah, we had chain matches, we had cage matches, and it was, working cage. You just can't work a chain match with anybody. But we worked chain matches together, and Junkyard Dog, because we got to work the next day, and it's about not hurting each other. Junkyard Dog was great with it. We threw packed houses. Bill Watts even thanked us. He said, I made more money this year than I ever made. That's what he told us.
What were those crowds like with Junkyard Dog being so over? Like, what was it like performing in front of a crowd like that?
And this was every night in front of sold out. It was a great feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It just gave me goosebumps. And plus, I knew how to work the gimmick. I mean, I worked the gimmick as Kamala wild and would just do anything. And everywhere we would go. I remember one place in where we was I think every Monday night we was in New Orleans, and the people used to chat. When we get in the ring, who that? Who that? Who that trying to beat that dog? That was their chat. And I thinks about that, and then I just go crazy up in that ring, and the people just be so loud. They get so loud sometimes until you just can't hear them. It was great.
What was the Junkyard Dog like outside the ring? What kind of person was he?
I never did hang around him outside the ring, but I would see him, like in dressing rooms right before our match or something like that. I never did hang out with any of the wrestlers. But when he wasn't wrestling, I used to call him on the phone and we'd talk about our match, and he was, he was always real nice.
How come you didn't hang out with a lot of the wrestlers?
Because if I hang out with the wrestlers, they'll know the wrestler and they'll put two and two together. Big old black guy like me, that's Kamala, and he hanging out with Junkyard Dog. As well as the promoters. Back then it was strictly kayfabe. And plus, I wanted it to be that way. I wanted the kayfabe. I wanted people to believe my gimmick. And they did during that time.
The Mid-South area is known as a pretty wild party scene with a lot of those guys. Did you purposely try to stay away from that?
Yeah, I did stay away from it.
Was that just something that you were never into?
Yeah, no, I never was into that. Yeah. No.
Okay. Then Andre the Giant came to Mid-South for his first matches against you. What was Andre like?
Andre, I had been around Andre a few times, but I had never wrestled him. And I remember the first match that I wrestled Andre was in Oklahoma City in 1983, I believe. And we got in the ring. During that time, the heels stayed in their dressing room, the babyface stayed in there. So Andre was a babyface. So they sent the referee back and forth to tell us our match, our finish, and what they wanted us to do. So sometimes you can get mixed up with communication that way, but if you're a smart wrestler, the people don't know it, and you can always make up for it in the ring. So I can't understand what I did, but I remember me covering Andre. I just covered him. He's so big and so strong. At 400 pounds, then he pressed me, he threw me up so high and called me a dumb son of a bitch. He threw me up so high, I stood up. But I went back down, reached back down, I got him by his head as he was coming up. and I beat the shit out of him. Beat him all the way back in the corner. And after that, the next day, we was in wrestling again in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We was where we could go to each other. And I remember that I had a .357, and I had it in my pocket. And I went to Andre, and Dick Murdoch was sitting there with him. I said, let me tell you one thing, Andre. I said, I will kill you, and I will do it right now. He said, oh, I'm sorry, boss. I'm sorry. You know, with that French accent. I'm sorry, boss. I don't tink. I said, well, motherfucker, get the tinking from now on. Because if you don't, I will drop you, Andre. After that, no more problem with Andre. I worked with Andre all over the world. No more problem. But I never did trust him. So on all of my wrestling tights that I wore up under that little skirt, every one of them got a pocket where I carried a stack bear dunya for about 3 months. But that stack bear dunya was hurting, and then I got scared that you know, I might fall on it and go off. So I carried a pocket knife. I don't know how I would have got to it if that big bastard had got me down. But I just felt safer with it, and I carried it for 15 years.
What was Andre like outside the ring? Did you guys ever hang out outside the ring? Or?
No, we never did hang out. But I remember one time I was in this restaurant, and I was eating. Andre came in, and a bunch of more, because it was a restaurant bar, and it was the only place I could get something to eat. And so I got me something to eat, and then I had me a couple of beers, something I didn't usually do. And I had a couple of beers, and Andre came in, and he was real nice, though. He came in, and he started drinking, and then they started trying to dance. And he ended up, I had about 5 beers and was drunk. I ended up dancing with one of the Moondogs and Andre. Dancing with guys. But it was just, you know, just having fun. And then after that, I left because I don't party with the guys.
Do you think Bill Watts was ever too strict with the way that he treated the guys outside the ring, or the way that he used to fine people for showing up late, that kind of stuff?
No, because Bill Watts, that's why his business was so respected. And I mean, I never was fined because I was always there on time. But he was running a business, and I think what he done was fair.
What are your memories of when Devastation Inc. formed? Did you like being a part of that group?
Yeah, oh yes, that's with General Skandar Akbar, one of my favorite managers, and I love being around him. We were just like family. We slept in cars together. We didn't have to. We slept in cars together up and down the road. You know, we traveling. We wouldn't get a motel because we traveling. We just pull up in a rest area, go to sleep, and get up the next morning or get up later on and travel on. We were just like family, and we still are.
What was Skandar like outside the ring?
He was fun. He was real generous. He was just a fun person to be around. He always cracking jokes, and he loved music, and he liked the same type of music that I like. I mean, I like all type of music, but he liked the same type of music that I like. We just laugh and joke, and we do the same thing now when we see each other. Just a big reunion when Akbar and I see each other.
What did you think made the Devastation Inc. stable so successful? What about the whole gimmick?
During that time, we had, like myself, the Missing Link, who was a great guy, and it was a few other guys. And we just was a heck of a team. And everywhere we went, we turned heads. Because we worked hard at it. We all worked our gimmicks to a T, the best we know how. And I think that's what made it so successful. Plus, we had a good mouthpiece, General Skandar Akbar.
Skandar Akbar just did one of these shoot interviews with us, and he was telling us about the heat that he used to get. One time a woman threw her baby at him.
Yeah.
So other stuff like that. Was there ever too much crowd heat where you felt that you were in danger?
Yeah, many times. Many times. Akbar had so much heat. When we would go to the ring, We always stood a chance to get cut. I mean, we've been hit so many times, throwed at, spit on, that's everything. But Akbar just had that instant heat. He could even just open his mouth and the people go crazy. And they used to have me, and I'd be walking right behind him, and I act like I'm just a big old dummy, and I have my hands on him, and and protecting him and all that stuff. And some people would tell me, especially the black people, you about that dumbest big old black ass nigga I ever seen in my life. Just look at. And the more they would say that, the worse I get, the more I try to protect them. I loved it that. I knew I had heat when I was doing that.
Were you there when the lady threw the baby at him?
No, I wasn't there.
Oh, yeah. You heard that story, though?
Yeah, I think I've heard that story before.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about outside of the arena? Were there a time where fans followed the car? I heard a fan shooting at the car. Anything like that ever happen?
Yeah, I remember once we was coming from Oklahoma City driving, and the fans followed us about 50 miles. I know every time Akbar would slow down, they would slow down right up on our bumper. We speed up, they would speed up. So anyway, we pulled over to the side. When we pulled over to the side, they stopped way back. We get in the car to leave, they'll take off in behind. So one time, the last time we pulled over, we just stayed there. We just sat there. So finally they pulled on around us and got on their other side and started back. And they pulled back and they stopped. We were still sitting there. They stopped on across the median. Excuse me. So what I done, I got a Coca-Cola bottle, and I threw that Coca-Cola bottle across the median and broke the windshield, the side glass out the car on the driver's side. And then we took off, and that was the last we saw of him.
You mentioned that with Andre you carried the knife and the gun. Did you ever feel you had to do that to protect yourself from the fans?
No. I probably, no, yes and no. But I didn't worry a lot about the fans because most times when we pull up to a building, they would have security there. So the fans wasn't much of a problem.
How about you had that feud against Jim Duggan and Bill Watts? We'll start with Jim Duggan. What was he like to work with?
Jim Duggan, I still work with him. I love working with Jim Duggan. We friends, and we workmates. We have a lot of matches across the country right now together.
Has Jim Duggan changed from all the way back then to now?
Jim Duggan is the same now as he was then to me. He even looked the same. I can't even tell the difference.
Well, how would you describe him outside the ring? What his personality's like?
Just like in the ring, right? Wild and Jim Duggan is allowed to come in and I'm standing up somewhere. He's just wild all the time. He come in, I can be standing up talking to somebody. He just come in and snatch my pants down behind him. He's a fun guy.
Are there any favorite matches or angles from back in the Mid-South days?
Yeah, we had the one where we bun Jim Duggan in Jackson, Mississippi. I forget what year it was, in the 80s though. But that was one of my favorites because Jim, we had a good match together, and then we come in and it was a good angle when Akbar burned him. He had half his beard shaved off, and I used to laugh at him about it, joke him about it. And he was a great guy. He is a great guy.
How about the matches? The Mid-South area is known for having very physical matches. Did it ever get too physical in the ring?
No, not that I know of. I never had one that was too physical.
How is Bill Watts to work with in the ring?
I only worked with Bill Watts a couple of times, and as a matter of fact, I think I'm the only one that was working for him, and I beat him. He let me beat him, and I'll forever keep that video too.
Why do you think that he did the job for you?
You know, I don't know. I guess because I would say because I was a good worker, and I was vicious, and he'd rather put it on somebody, let somebody like me beat him than to let somebody that to let anybody else do it. I mean, other people that done it, I'm not the best worker in the world though, but I was one of them, and I think that because he let me beat him, that I was somebody special, and I felt that way.
Do you have any memories of when Ric Flair used to come into the territory to defend the NWA title?
I remember him coming in, but Ric Flair, I never worked against him, and I don't think I can't remember ever working against Ric Flair.
Just some thoughts about what some of these guys were like. They were also in the Mid-South territory. Steve Dr. Death Williams.
I worked with him when he first came into Mid-South. He had a few other matches, but most of the guys was afraid to work with Steve because he was just off that football field, and he was stiff and strong. And a lot of the guys, I mean, they would work with him, but they was always kind of worried. I said, shuck, I go in there and wrestle with him. And I went in there and I told him what to do and everything. We had a good match. We had one of the best matches. And I worked with him a lot of times since.
How about One Man Gang?
One Man Gang, I worked with him quite a few times, but we never had good matches. I guess because we were just too big to do anything, so we never had good matches and never had real good response or nothing like that.
How about Ted DiBiase? What was he like?
Ted was kind of wild, but he was a good guy. I always got along real good with him. I could hear him now. Him and Junkyard Dog would always call me Walla Walla. So Ted was a good guy.
How about the Freebirds?
The Freebirds, I didn't hang out with those guys. Well, I didn't hang out with anybody, but the Freebirds, they was all good guys. All of them was real good guys, but they had some wild parties, I heard.
You stayed away from those, though?
Oh, yeah, I stayed away from them.
What was it like wrestling at the Superdome?
At the Superdome, that was my first biggest building that I can remember that I had ever worked in. And it was great. And of course I was looking for a big payday, which I still got a good payday. But listening to some of the guys, all the money that I would make on that would be a what. I didn't make what the guys claimed that we would make, that I would make. But still, I made good money on it.
Did you ever go to Watts and complain about the paydays?
No, I wouldn't have dared to do that because I was already making good money. I was happy.
Okay. How about Bruiser Brody? What was it like to work Bruiser Brody?
Oh, Bruiser Brody, a good guy to work. I guess you say all the guys I say good though, but he was good to work with. We drew a lot of money together, and at the Sportatorium, we drew so many people there until the fire marshal said if we ever put that many people in that building again, they were going to shut it down. We drew good money everywhere, and Bruiser Brody was responsible for my first biggest payoff.
What was that? What show was that?
It was for Bob Geigel. Bob Geigel, and I don't know the name of the wrestling organization, but it was in Kansas City.
What was Brody like outside the ring?
Real quiet, man of a few words. He would talk to you if you talked with him, and that was it.
Now you went to Puerto Rico a couple of times, right?
Yes.
What was that like in Puerto Rico?
Not getting paid, a lot of checks canceled.
Really?
Bouncing, so I went there a few times. I liked going to Puerto Rico, but I didn't like going with, not getting paid. So it really wasn't good at all for me.
What was your reaction when you heard that Bruiser Brody was murdered down there?
I was supposed to work with him. I can't remember the date, but a few weeks later I was supposed to work with him again back in Dallas. That broke my heart.
Were you surprised when you got the news?
Yes, I was.
How did like the Puerto Rico crowd compare to let's say like the Mid-South crowd or the Memphis crowd?
I didn't like them because they have you so far away from the people. You don't have good response, and I can work better when I have real good response. And it just wasn't that good in Puerto Rico to me.
Why did you leave Mid-South to go to World Class in 1984?
Okay, because I had been with Bill Watts for about a year and a half. And didn't want to burn myself out, so Bill Watts, he came to me real respectful. And he said, Kamala, so we're going to finish you up in about another month, but I got another good spot for you to go to. That's the way they used to do back then. They would take care of you. And he told me, I got you going into Dallas. I done told them how to use you, how I use you, and I was successful with you. And they're going to do the same thing when you get to Dallas. And they did. And I kept right on making money.
Do you think that's one of the reasons that the territory system really worked for the boys, was if you got a little burned out in one area, it was easy to move into the next territory?
Yeah, you said, repeat the question?
Like the territory system back in the day, was it real beneficial for the wrestlers? Because if you got burned out in one territory, there's another territory right there that you could move to?
Yeah, it was much better then. I lived through that time, so it was much better then. You know, promoters, they wouldn't burn you out. They, excuse me, they would use you for a while here, and before they burn you out, you might well lose a match on the way out, but they got you in another territory. And during that time, the territories didn't overlap, like the television didn't overlap like they do now.
Yeah. What did you think when Vince McMahon started to, we're kind of skipping ahead, but while we're on the subject of territories, when Vince McMahon started going after the territories and the territories started going out of business?
Oh, all the promoters were mad with Bill. With Vince during that time. And I was in one of the local territories then. Well, I was in world class during that time. And I think it was real bad because everybody, all the promoters that I talked with, they were talking about getting together and they was going to keep the territories and they were going to run, wasn't going to let Vince come into here, but Vince went anywhere he wanted to go. And after that, Vince called me. And after Vince called me, then I didn't think no more about it. I thought it was the best thing in the world then.
Going back to when you first went to World Class, when you switched territories from like Mid-South to World Class, did the fans know who you were in World Class, or did you pretty much have to start from scratch?
No, I didn't have to start from scratch because what they would do, Bill Watts at Mid-South sent a video into Dallas, and Dallas would use that video because the television wasn't overlapping. I'm pretty sure so a few people knew, but the majority didn't. And they would show it on television, and after that I would come in, it was just like starting all over new again.
What was your first impressions of Fritz von Erich?
When I first met Fritz, he was all right, but I knew he wasn't a Bill Watts, and I said I didn't believe I would ever meet another Bill Watts. You know, being good to me, being fair enough. So, but anyway, I still done good there, and I was treated all right until toward the end.
Do you think that Fritz was as good as booking as Bill Watts?
No, not close.
What do you think made Bill Watts a better booker?
Because Bill Watts was just more business, and Bill Watts would like he would put the fine on you if you're late. And I think he could just walk in Fritz territory anytime. His own son did it, so you know we would do it. I didn't, but the other guys would do it.
Do you think that Fritz pushed his sons too much?
Now he might have did, but those guys, I tell you, the Von Erichs, for that dad to own the territory, and as wealthy as their dad was, those was some great guys. They didn't have the big head. I thought they were just because they was Fritz's son that they could do anything. Excuse me. They didn't think like that. And they would always come up, shake my hand, hug me. And I learned a lot from Kerry.
What did you learn from Terry?
I learned my most favorite, the leapfrog. And you didn't see a big 400-pound guy doing a leapfrog during that time. Kerry called it one time in the ring. He said, "Okay, Wallace, you throw me in, and I'm gonna duck the chop, and then leapfrog." I said, "You gonna leapfrog me?" He said, "Hell no, you gonna leapfrog me." Oh hell! But he did it. When I leapfrogged him, I I didn't know what else to do. I was so stunned. I had leapfrogged him, and I was so. So I learned that, and a few other things. From Kerry, he was always good to work with.
What are your memories of your matches against David Von Erich?
We had a lot of great matches. He was one of the best ones to work with. And I wrestled David, I think 2 days before he passed away. It was around his birthday, during his birthday, because he passed away in Japan. He was real easy to get along with, like I said before, all of the Von Erichs is. And we had a lot of great matches together. And I think the booker then was Ken Mantell, and I think he had a lot of plans for us, but he passed away, so.
What was Ken Mantell like as a booker?
He was real nice, real good guy, easy to get along with, and usually you don't get along with bookers too fast, but I get along with anybody. But Ken was real easy. I think he might have been a little too easy.
Did you think his ideas were good?
Yeah. Yeah, he had good ideas, and then Ken would listen to your ideas.
How was what was the party and drug scene like in World Class? Was it just as crazy as Mid-South?
I never seen a lot of drugs there, but I know they was there. Even with my good friend the Junkyard Dog. But I've seen a lot of them. I've heard of a lot of them doing the drugs, and I heard a lot of them talk about the drugs. So I kind of, myself, I just kind of stayed away. Now, I don't smoke the marijuana. I smoked the marijuana before, but they wasn't my cup of tea.
How about the Von Erichs? They are known for sometimes going into the ring while on drugs and not being in condition to wrestle. Did that ever happen with any of your matches against them?
It happened in one of my matches that I can remember. I don't know how many times they was on drugs that I worked with them, because I always had a lot of good matches with them. But I remember once I was in the ring with Kerry, and I had this arm claw on him, right on under the arm. Excuse me, and everything up in here, his heart was beating so fast and so heavy, everything up in here was shaking. And I wanted to let go, because I didn't want him to die with me got a hold to him. So that's the only thing. I figured that's what it was, something with drugs. But I never seen him do drugs. But I just almost be willing to bet my life that he was doing them.
Yeah. Did it ever affect their performance at all, or that you noticed?
No, not really. Just that one time when but that didn't affect his performance though. I can't remember it ever. Not with me.
Did Fritz Von Erich overlook all the drug use, or do you think he could have done anything to stop it?
I believe he, at least, no, I don't believe he could have done nothing to stop it. Because if he stop him from doing it one way, they'll figure out another way. Because they probably was hooked. But Fritz wasn't around the matches that much.
Why do you think that there was so much suicide in the Von Erich family? Do you think anything could have been done to prevent it?
I never understood that. I don't know. I really don't know.
What was your reaction to when you started hearing about like Kerry and Chris and David? What was your reactions to all that?
Well, it was real sad, and they was killing themselves so fast. I was wondering who was I gonna have to work with. But like I said, I wrestled David a couple of days before he passed away, and then I was in another territory, and Percy Pring and I was sitting there watching the monitor. I remember when he was fired, when Kerry was fired, and Kerry said that he was going to sign autograph. He didn't want us to know he was fired. We was at the building that night, and he said he was going to sign autograph for some guy.
WWF?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, guys, I'm going to sign autograph, but he had been fired. And he was going to sign autograph for some guy, but I can't remember the name. And after he left, all the guys said, Did you hear that? The guy he's supposed to be signing autographs for been dead for 30 years. So that's what he said. And so Percy told me, said, watch this. Said the next time we hear from Kerry, he'll be dead. So I got a feeling this is the last time we'll see him. We were sitting in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the dressing room. Percy and I and some more guys, and they had come across the screen. He had killed himself. So he wanted to be with his brother. And that was kind of sad because they were good guys. I love those guys.
What were some of your favorite angles with the Von Erichs or matches? Anything stand out to you?
The slam thing we used to do with Kerry. The slam thing we used to do with Kerry, and then the claw. I remember Kerry he used to tease the people. He almost slamming and people be on their feet. And I would do something, he'd have to let me back down. So I liked that.
How about any of the big shows, like the Texas Stadium shows? Any kind of memories from any of those?
I was on one Texas Stadium show, and that was the last time that I can remember that I worked for Fritz and them. But I worked against Kabuki on that show, and the payoff was terrible. I had been making good money with Fritz, but the payoff was terrible. They even paid the girls a lot more than they paid me. For what I made for the whole week, the girls made it in one night. And after that, when I got my check, I packed all my stuff and I left Texas.
That you left because of you felt you were being ripped off on the payoff?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Were there any other guys that you really liked to work in World Class, or any people that you didn't like to work?
No, I had some favorites like the Von Erich, Iceman King Parson. I love working with him. And my favorite of the Von Erichs was David and Kerry. I mean, I worked with Kevin, but David and Kerry was my favorite.
Why did you like working with them more than the other Von Erichs?
They just seemed to click better than Kerry. I mean, I'm not knocking, Kevin. I'm not knocking Kevin, but I just worked better with them, had better response, and our timing was more together than with Kevin. I mean, he probably feel the same way about me.
Outside the ring, did you take the same measures to keep the character and kayfabe that you did in Mid-South?
Yeah, I did.
Were there any stories like where fans went after you the way that they did in Mid-South, or followed you, or you found danger or anything like that?
Yeah, around that sportatorium was real dangerous. We had the van rocked many times. We have had people that block us in, they see us on our way out, they'll block us in and gather around the van and all that, but we would have security to come out and get them away from us, but still we had to worry about being followed. But I don't think it was just any real danger.
Okay. Was it the same performing in front of the crowds? Did you have to change your act at all for the World Class crowd as compared to like the Memphis or the Mid-South crowd?
No, I did the same thing. Exactly the same thing. I just was not bragging on myself, but I just was getting better with my gimmick. And that's what I tried to do. That's what I wanted to do.
Now you mentioned you left because you felt that your payoff should have been better in World Class.
Right.
Did you ever complain to them about that, or ask them why they weren't as much as the girls per se?
Well, no. What I done is after I got paid and I saw what I had made, then the girls, they were there too when they got paid. We all got our checks together, and they was having a ball about what they had made. So what I done, I just packed my bags and I left, and so Ken Mantell called me up. And I told him, so it must was true. I didn't see the girls' check, but I know what they were saying. He said, well, what you have to look at, Wally, is how much you made the the whole year, but I couldn't see that. I didn't think that had nothing to do with it. And, but I wouldn't go back.
Do you think that they treated you fairly otherwise?
Yeah, I believe they treated me fair. I think all promoters, they gonna get you a little bit anyway. They ain't gonna be 100% fair, not even be a watch. But as long as I was happy, you know, I mean, it was all right.
Did you have another job set up when you left World Class?
They had asked me about coming into I think it was the NWA in North Carolina with Jim Crockett promotion. They had asked me about coming there, so I went there for about 3 months, but that was the worst. That was one of the worst territories.
Why is that?
My biggest paycheck there was $800 for 1 week. So anyway, I had heard that Andre had told me that Vince wanted me when I left Mid-South World Class to come to the WWF. But I wasn't for sure if I was ready for the big time. So I went to North Carolina, Jim Crockett promotion. But still, Vince had some of the guys to find me and told me to call.
Going to NWA, we'll cover that real quick. What was it like working for Jim Crockett? What were your impressions of him?
He didn't impress me at all. Jim Crockett didn't. He would walk by you, and you expect for your promoter to at least speak to you, you know, make you think you at least somebody or wanted. But he would walk by you. He might speak and he might not. And the money was terrible. They wouldn't use me like Fritz from Bill Watts had told him to use me. And Dusty was the booker. So, you know, Dusty wanted to be on top of everything. Excuse me. So I just didn't do any good there.
What did you think of Dusty Rhodes as a booker?
Dusty probably was all right as a booker, but I never worked under him as doing a lot of booking. But he booked there, and his booking wasn't, you know, I wasn't figured in, so it didn't do any good.
Do you think they ever had any kind of plans for you, or they just saw you as a lower card kind of guy?
Just a lower card kind of guy. Even though they knew that I could be, how you would say it, I could be credit to the territory, but it was all Dusty and the guys that was in his clique. So I wasn't figured in.
Why do you think they brought you in then in the first place?
I just can't understand it. They wanted me to do jobs, I guess. They wanted to kill me off, but I mean, I wouldn't go for that.
You had a quick feud with Magnum TA there. What was Magnum like to work with?
Excuse me. Magnum was real good to work with. He done a lot of jobs for me before I went to the NWA, and he was real good to work with. I remember once I went up there when I was with Miss South. They wanted me to come up there and do a big show, and they wanted me to work with Magnum TA. So anyway, Magnum came over and he told me that said Dusty want you to, you know, to take over the match, but then he want me to catch you with the belly to belly toward the end and beat you 1, 2, 3. I said, Magnum, nothing against you. I said, we both trying to make a living. I said, but I ain't gonna do that 1, 2, 3. He said, well, that's just what Dusty told me. I said, well, tell Dusty, come over here. I tell Dusty the same thing. So Dusty came over. He said, what's the problem? Magnum had told him the problem, but I wasn't gonna back down. So Dusty said, what's the problem? I said, I told Magnum that I wasn't gonna do the 1, 2, 3. But when we come over there and we do it for y'all, Dusty, you ain't never done a 1, 2, 3 for me. I done worked with you, but you never done a 1, 2, 3 for me. So anyway, he said, okay, just catch him with the belly to belly, do the belly to belly, and Southern Hammer, they do the DQ. But what they done when they showed it on television, they had edited. They showed they showed the belly to belly, and I never did see it, but I heard a lot of people say that Dusty said, "This is the way," or the commentator said, "This is the way Magnum TA beat Kamala." Showed them doing the belly to belly, but they couldn't show no 1, 2, 3. So that was pretty rotten, I think.
Yeah. You also went to AWA for a short period of time. How did you end up there?
I just did a shot or two for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Crockett had something to do with that. But I just did maybe 1 or 2 shots for them.
How was it there? Was it did it seem like a place that you'd like to work at more?
No, that wasn't my cup of tea.
How come?
You could tell when you go into a territory if they have plans for you. You could tell the way they use you, the way they talk to you. If they don't have nothing to say to you, like they got plans for you or something like that, then you know you ain't gonna do no good there.
Then after you left NWA, you went right to WWF.
Yeah.
How did you get hooked up with WWF?
Well, back in the early '80s, when all the territory was in the video, Andre was working with me in Dallas territory, and he had told me that Vince Sr. wanted me to come into the WWF. He said, "But whenever you finish here." And so they was waiting for me to come in, but instead I went to the NWA. And so Vince, he called Gary Hart, I believe, who was working for NWA then, and told him to give his number to me and for me to call him. And I called him and talked to Vince personally, and he told me that he wanted me up there and wanted me to bring Friday with me. And I did. And that's when we did the deal with the chicken. And Vince was, I had that video now, Vince was small then. So that's how I ended up in the WWF.
What were your first impressions of Vince McMahon?
I had heard a lot about the WWF, and I had heard that his dad was a real good man. But his dad died before I got there, so I didn't meet him. But Vince told me that I was gonna make a lot of money, which I didn't. I didn't make no money in the WWF, and I kind of believed him because he was so big, even during that time. Even though he's bigger now, but he was the biggest I had ever been in then. And I kind of believed him, but I didn't.
Did you think at the time that you were going there that Vince was going to make wrestling blow up as big as he did and become as mainstream as it did?
No, I didn't think. I thought he was going to be big, bigger than any of the other territories, but not this big. Not as big as he is now.
When you first went to WWF, did you have to change your style? The style there isn't as hard-hitting as the other places that you worked. Did you have to slow down or make any kind of adjustments?
Just a little bit, but it was real easy. And they didn't tell me to make these adjustments or slow down or nothing like that. I was still wild and vicious, but I used to hear the guys say it's so easy. Just all you have to do is do this and do that, and it was so much easier than other territories that I had been in. So it was a difference.
What was like the WWF crowds like compared to the territories?
Oh, they were sold out everywhere during that time, but not because of me. They were sold out, before I went there. Everywhere you go, it was a packed house.
Did you take like the same measures in WWF to keep kayfabe that you did in the other territories?
I sure did. But the WWF was kayfabe, but not like the smaller territory was. But I still did the same thing up there.
How about the fans? Were they as wild as in the other territories where, they'd surround the car, like that kind of thing?
Yeah. Boston, at the Boston Garden was one of the worst. And at Madison Square Garden, that was a terrible place to get in and out, because we had to park our cars, you know, miles away and then catch a taxi there. So it was, you couldn't drive there. I remember once, Freddie Blaster, when he first managed me when I went in, and so we went out to get in a taxi, and Freddie was bending over, getting in the taxi, and this little guy ran up there and kicked Freddie square in the butt. Yeah, so yeah, the Madison Square Garden was a terrible place to get in and out of.
Oh, Boston Gardens. Why was that so bad?
Yeah, they would throw bottles. They would do some of everything. They would cut you. I think it was Freddie Blaster. I remember one of the guys, somebody threw the egg, knocked his eye out. And I don't remember if that was Freddie Blaster or who. But it was a terrible place. It was so bad until they put a net over you, you know, when you're going back and forth to the ring.
What are the memories of the Tuesday Night Titans that you mentioned where they wanted people to believe that you ate a live chicken on the air?
That's another one of my favorites. About eating the wild chicken. I mean, eating the chicken. I think it was good publicity for during that time. I enjoyed doing it. I just did Tuesday Night Titan a couple of times, I think.
Yeah. Who came up with the idea of the whole live chicken thing?
They had it set up when I got there, Vince. As far as I know, it was Vince.
How about you started wrestling Andre the Giant in WWF then? How was that different compared to the other territories, or was it the same?
It was real easy. It was just like dancing. No hard work. We just had fun in that wrestling.
Was Andre the same as he was back in the Mid-South territories and World Class territories, or did he change at all?
No, he didn't change. He didn't change, not towards me. After our first little encounter, I had no more problems with him, so he never did change. But I saw people just don't know. They think he was just a nice, big, gentleman guy, but he was not.
A little bit off topic. You mentioned with Andre, you carried the knife and the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anybody else that you ever worked with in your career that you did that with?
No, nobody.
Okay.
Nobody.
What was your reaction when you were told that you were going to go into a program with Hulk Hogan?
Oh, I was excited. I knew I was going to make a lot of money because Hogan was making a lot of money. I went there with Hogan, and we wrestled in main events somewhere, everywhere, all over. I knew I was going to make a lot of money. One time, I made $14,000 1 week. I had never made that kind of money before. But the way I am, even though I hadn't made that kind of money before, and this just happened one time now, that $14,000 a week. Even though I had never made that kind of money before, if it's drawing that big money, if I'm due $100,000 or $200,000, then give it to me. Don't just because I had never made no money, I had any money before, hold it back from me. Because, I want to feed my family. I want to be successful. Not just successful as a name, but successful financially, too. But I wasn't.
Were you surprised when you got that first paycheck from Hogan, and did you think maybe it was less than it was going to be, even though it's for a good amount of money?
Well, when I first got it, I was, like I said, I was excited about it because it was more than I had ever made. But then I knew where we had been and the houses we had drew. I thought at least I would have made around, like $30,000 for that week, or maybe more. But I didn't. That's what I was looking for. But I still was excited about the 14. But I was due more. I remember Hogan telling me after we worked the program for a while, he said, look, brother, I'm getting mine. I don't know about you. I said, but I'm getting mine. I said, you putting asses on the seat, you need to get yours. I went to Vince a couple of times, and Vince told me, say, Well, he's always real nice when you're talking to him. And Vince didn't have a nasty attitude. He said, well, if you think you can make more somewhere else, you're welcome to go. But where else was it to go? So I just stayed there and did the best I can. Just hope he would have a change in heart and would pay me what I was due.
Did you start getting bitter at this time at all?
Yeah, I started getting a little bitter, but it was nowhere else to go. And that's why I just stayed on there. A couple of times I walked out. I walked out the territory. But the last time I went to the territory, Vince called me up himself in '91 and told me to give him a call. He'll be around the house. So I gave him a call, and he told me, said, I want you to come back in the WWF. Are you interested? I said, yeah. Gonna make a lot of money this time. I said, well, I'm sure interested. And he told me to talk to, I think, the travel agency was named, took care of the travels, Anita Scales, I think. So anyway, I talked to her, and they booked me a flight coming up there to meet with Vince. And he told me what he was going to do, and I was going to make a lot of money. But I still didn't.
Okay. Going back to the first program with Hogan, what was your initial impressions of Hulk Hogan?
Before I ever had my first match with Hogan, I had talked to Hogan, and he was a real nice guy, and to be a champion, you know, I liked him, and I couldn't wait to work with him. When they started the program with Hogan and I was comfortable because he used to tell me, brother, anything you want to do now, what you want to do, how you want to do this, to do this and do that, brother. Don't worry about this, don't worry about that. I felt comfortable. And after that first match, we had our little thing down, so we had a plan A and a plan B.
What was the plan A and plan B?
You know, just different things we would do in the match. And if we be too close, I say for instance, if we do plan A right here, we wouldn't want to go to a couple towns down and do plan A. We'll do plan B. You know, like that, change it up a little bit. And that was it. He was a great guy to work with. For him to be the champion, he didn't have a big head or none of that kind of stuff. He would do exactly what you wanted him to do.
Are there any angles or matches with Hogan that stand out as your favorites?
Yeah, the one where he was, because we had one where he had his face painted. Well, I was the one that painted his face. I painted Hogan's face. And when he come out like that, I'm always in the ring first, and when he come out, I just go crazy, and the people go crazy with me. He coming out with his face painted. And those are some of the matches that I really liked with Hogan.
How about the cage matches? You did a real big one at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah.
Any memories of those cage matches?
Yeah. One is I blew it up. I never will forget that. I ran out of gas. Working with Hogan, he could just go on and on and on. He just had so much energy during that time. I mean, I had a lot of energy too, but I don't think I had as much as Hogan.
What do you think of the whole gimmick where you kept structuring out some of the jobbers, including one of them was Mick Foley?
Yeah, I liked it, man. And I really appreciate those guys doing it for me too. But I think it got me over as a strong heel.
What was Mick Foley like? Was he just honored to be there and on TV and everything?
Yeah, he was. I saw Mick not long ago, and he was talking to some other guys and telling them about the first match that he had with me. So he messed up somewhere out there. And when we got back to the dressing room, he thought I was going to yell at him. But when I got back there, he said that Kamala just told me, said, that's all right. So don't worry about it. The people didn't know. And that's the way I am. That's the way I am. I don't believe in that yelling. Not one person I ever yelled at in the wrestling business.
Did you think that Mick would go on to become the star that he became?
I didn't. I really didn't. But I'm proud of him, though.
Then after the Hogan thing, you were placed in a tag team with Sika. What did you think when that whole idea was brought up to become a tag team?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It gave me a chance to get some rest in the ring. one thing, but I enjoyed working with Sika. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He took me to his home in the Samoan Island, and we had a lot of good matches together, and I enjoyed working with him.
Did you think the team of you and Sika was going to be pushed more, or did you think that Vince was trying to push you down on the card?
Just kind of pushed me down on the card just to give me just to give us a place to work. That's all, just to fill the card out.
So after the Hogan program, did you think that Vince was pretty much done with you at that point, and he just wanted to keep you lower on the card, and he had no other plans or anything?
Yeah, just to keep me low on the card, but after it got where I just wasn't making no money, and so I just walked out.
And that was, you were about to have a program with Jim Powers and Paul Roma then. And how did you walk out? Did you just go to Vince and give him your notice?
No, I didn't give him a notice. I just didn't show up no more.
Really?
Yeah, that was it.
How did the WWF office react to that? Did they call you and were like, where are you?
Yeah, they called me, and that's during the time Andre was living. They called, and then Andre would call. And but I wasn't married or nothing like that. And my mother was living with me. So when Andre would call the house, he would tell my mom that this is Andre. And my mom wasn't smart. Mama wouldn't tell him nothing. So anyway, I wouldn't answer them, and finally they just stopped calling.
Were they trying to talk you into going back?
Yeah, I noticed what it was for, but I never would answer the call.
Really? What were your plans at that point? Did you still want to wrestle, or were you going to get out of the wrestling business?
I wanted to get out, and then I wanted to find something else to do, but I just didn't know of anything. You know, it's a shame to say it, but I do believe that truth is the light, and then I don't mind saying it. See, I don't have an education. I'm just a 9th grade student. So without even a diploma, it's hard to go anywhere with a diploma, just a diploma now. So you know how far you can go without an education, just a high school education. So that's why I kind of hung around the wrestling.
Okay. During your first WWF run, besides Hogan and Andre, was there anybody else that you really liked to work, or anybody that you didn't like to work?
No. I liked working with all of them. I had, you know, my favorites was guys like, you know, like Hogan, but it was other guys that I worked with, and had Bret Hart. I worked a lot with Bret. Oh, he's a sweetheart to work with. So I had a lot of good matches with him.
Yeah. What was Bret like outside the ring?
Quiet like. He was quiet like. He would laugh and talk with you, but he was a real nice, respectable guy. Cause like I said, I didn't hang around with anybody outside the ring, but Bret was a real sweet guy.
Did you think Bret would go on to become the star that he became?
I didn't think that either. I really didn't.
What was the travel schedule like?
I used to be on the road sometime 45 days before I would even see home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back during the time though. I'd be on the road 45 days. I had been out there for like a month, and then they sent us across to London for about 7 or 8 days. And then after I get back, work in the States for about another 4 or 5 days, and then I would go home. When I go home, I'm just home for like 3 days.
A lot of the guys turn to drugs to get through that travel schedule. How did you get through that travel schedule?
I just got through it some kind of way. With the help of the good Lord, the only thing I can say is I remember one of the guys coming to me and asking me, I don't remember how it was worded, but it was, did I do drugs? And I told him no, and he said, how in the world can you stay up here then? I don't know. I guess that's why I walks out here once in a while. But I never done drugs. But I remember one time that I was in the car with Steve Lombardi, and my manager then was the Wiz, Curtis Ikea. So they smoked. So they kept on asking me, get your little hit. I was in the main event that night with Hogan at the Nassau Coliseum. So they kept on, oh, come on, get your little hit. That little hit ain't gonna hurt you. And they kept on and kept, they used to do it all the time. So finally I got it, and they were showing me how to do it. And I did it, and I got so high. But I was feeling good though. We got to the Nassau Coliseum, and I couldn't even I was trying to put the paint on my face, but I couldn't hit it. Couldn't hit it right. So the match was about to start. The main event was about to come on. I had been trying all the night. So what they done, they just threw 2 or 3 stripes on my face. They did it. Steve Lombardi and them did. Man, had me looking like an Indian. I went out there and did the match and came on back. I said, if I ever get all that high, I won't get high no more. So they wouldn't even ask me because they know I wouldn't do it no more.
How did you get through the match?
I got through it. I guess I got through it all right. Far as I can remember, I didn't have no complaints about it. And I had one of the biggest headaches, and I don't have headaches, but I had one after that.
How about, what was, like, were there a lot of ribs being pulled, like, back then?
Yeah, it was a lot of ribs being pulled.
Anything spring to mind?
Yeah, I remember them, a lot of the wrestlers carried the Halliburton's suitcase. And they would go out of the dressing room, and they'll leave the suitcase open. And some of the guys would go there and change the combination, and when they close it, they can't get it back open. It's another combination on it. Things like that. I remember Junkyard Dog sitting in there in the bathroom, and one of the guys took Jake Snake, threw him over in the thing on the junkyard. He scared the devil of Snake like I am. He threw him over in there, and Dog didn't come out through the door. He came when the snake went in over. Dog came out over. Things like that. And the Freebirds, they used to do stuff like they chew the bathroom, and they would take and hawk and spit on the wall. And they have a line drawn on the wall. And if they don't hit that line, they go, oh, I missed it. They go up there and lick it off and come back and do it again. All kind of stuff like that. Oh, they used to do some of everything.
How about the atmosphere in the WWF locker room? What was it like? Was everyone helpful to each other? Was there a lot of backstabbing? Was it very political?
Yeah, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. A lot of backstabbing, and then a lot of them, sitting around playing cribbage, playing cards, and having fun. And every once in a while, someone would drink. Only somebody was allowed to drink was Andre during that time. So it was a lot of fun, man.
Now, after that first WWF run, and you just left, and you ended up going to Montreal, how was that?
Yeah, I was just there for a few shots, so it was all right, just keeping me a little bit of work. It wasn't too bad.
How about USWA? You went back to Memphis then?
Yeah, and it was no good. It was no good.
How come?
The territory was down. My gimmick was no good there. It was dead. And I couldn't hit the territory at all.
Why do you think your gimmick was dead there?
Back from when they did the thing with Plowboy Frazier as Kamala 2, they killed it right then, and then never done good since in that area.
What was it like working with Jerry Lawler again after all those years?
It was still good. The few people that were there, it was good response. And we always had, I can't remember one bad match that I had with Lawler. And always good response.
Were you still able to make a living?
No, not really. My first love was truck driving. I used to run on the road before I started wrestling, so I would do little wrestling shows, and then I would drive trucks.
And that's what you did in the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, yeah, because I started driving truck back in 1970, years ago.
And you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, I enjoy doing driving trucks.
You still enjoy it to this day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I still enjoy it. It's just hard. It's getting hard to make a living with trucks now.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy about it?
I always wanted to. My brother used to drive a truck, and I always wanted. He's 10 years older than I am, and he used to drive those big rigs, and I always wanted to. I like to hear him shift those gears and see the smoke coming out of those stacks, and that's what I wanted to do. And I ended up doing it, and I still enjoy it.
Okay. Then you ended up going back to WWF about 1992.
Yeah, I went to the WWF back in 1992. That was when Vince called me back, and he told me that, he said, when he called me, which I was glad of it, and he said, now here's what we're going to do. He said, you know you walked out on me a couple of times. I said, yeah. He said, now what we going to do, if you agree to this, I'm going to bring you back and hope to make you a lot of money. But we're going to take 15% of your gross and hold it in a escrow. You'll get it back after you fulfill your 2-year contract. You'll get it back with interest. So he took out 15% of my gross for almost 2 years.
Is it true that you had a lawyer contact Vince before you went back about getting some money for merchandising, because like they made that figure of you and that kind of stuff?
You know, I did have a lawyer to contact Vince, but right after I went back, then we just demolished it.
Do you think maybe Vince brought you back to avoid that whole potential lawsuit?
I thought about it afterward, and I believe so.
When he went back to WWF, he went into a program with Ultimate Warrior. What was he like?
The Ultimate Warrior, we got along good, but I don't think we had good matches.
Yeah. Do you think Ultimate Warrior was a good worker?
No. I don't think I'm a good worker, but what some of the guys used to say, but I got charisma or my gimmick, because I'm just chop, kick, choke, that's all I do. So I don't think I'm a good worker, but I could convince the people, what I'm trying to do, and that's what they look for me to do.
What was Ultimate Warrior like outside the ring?
Outside the ring, he was always a quiet guy. He was always a quiet guy and a nice guy to me. A lot of people don't like him, but he was good to me, because I remember during the time I was working with him, I have been down as low as $50 per match in the WWF. $50 per match. It was so bad with me until I had to share a room with 2 other guys in order to survive. That's how I got it. It wasn't like that every night, but still the little money that I was making, it wasn't about nothing. So I stayed there as long as I could. And of course I didn't walk out. They just gave me a notice.
Was that because of the 15%? Is that why you didn't walk out?
Yeah, that is one reason I didn't walk out.
Yeah. Were there any other reasons?
It's just the money. I mean, I wasn't making no money. I just wasn't making any money there. But no, that was the only reason that I didn't walk out, because we had 15% of my money held, which still wasn't much. After almost 2 years, you could tell I didn't make no money. 15%. When they did give me my notice, I only got $17,000.
Were you surprised the pay was so low on that WWF run?
Yeah, especially after he had told me that I was going to make a lot of money. I was working with the Ultimate Warrior, who was making a lot of money. Vince had limousine everywhere he went. And the Ultimate Warrior told me once, he said, Kamala, I know that you ain't making no money here. So whenever I'm in a town and we're working together, we're on the same flight, jump in this limousine with me. He said, I ain't got to pay for it. Hell, Vince done paying for it. So that's what I did. But I still had to share a room with other guys in order to have money to eat.
Did you ever talk to Vince about why the pay was so low?
I talked to him a few times, which, I knew it wasn't going to do no good. And it's the same old story, I don't want to hold you from making money somewhere else if it's somewhere else you can go and make you some money. I wouldn't do that. But I remember when I first met Vince, he told me, so I believe in all my guys making money. If the money's there, I'm going to pay them. He said, because I believe in that old saying, what goes around comes around. I just wonder, do he still believe in it?
Then what was your reaction when you heard that you were going to go into a program with The Undertaker?
I was excited about it. I keep getting excited, but still don't make any money.
Yeah. How was Undertaker like to work with?
Real nice, real good, do anything in the world for you. Real easy to work with. He was real good to work with. We didn't have good responsive matches though, but he was a super nice guy. Still is.
Then the big match against The Undertaker, or the first big match, was at SummerSlam at Wembley Stadium.
And
Yeah, what are your memories of that match? And there are like 80,000 people there.
yeah, 1992, excuse me. I won't forget that. It was a good, I think we had a pretty good match. And, but the payoff was terrible. I got $13,000. They said the whole thing, it said gross 40 million, what I heard now. We won't never know. But it was a pay-per-view. They said gross 40 million. I only got 13,000. And the Undertaker got $500,000. Now, the Undertaker didn't tell me this. I was at a match and Patterson had left his briefcase open. Steve Lombardi was the one that told me, said, I know how much you made off of your match for the SummerSlam. I said, how do you know? He said, come here. We went in the little room where Pat was dressing there, but Pat had left his briefcase open. And he showed it to me on the book. I got $13,000. And then it had up there, the Undertaker had his real name there, $500,000. Now, I'm not well educated, but I know it wasn't $500, and I know it wasn't $5,000. I know it was a 5 and 2 zeros, a period, and 3 more zeros, and a period, and then a couple more zeros. So I knew it wasn't $500, and that really tore me up. But wasn't nothing I could do. If I had $500,000, I probably could live the rest of my life off, because the way I live.
Did you say anything to anybody about the difference in the paydays?
Yeah, I didn't say nothing to Mark, because we don't discuss, our payoffs or nothing like that. I just said something, well, only to Bruno or Steve Lombardi, and then probably a couple of the other guys.
What was the reaction? Was there anything you could do about it?
No, wasn't nothing that I could do about it, because during the time we didn't have contracts. We had contracts just to stay there for a certain amount of time, not a contract that you'll make so much money. We didn't have that.
Then from there you went and did the next big match was a casket match against Undertaker at Survivor Series, which was the first ever casket match. What are your memories of doing that match?
I think it was a good match. It was a funny match. And I enjoyed watching that myself. And I have that on video. I enjoyed it. It was real good, but I was a little skeptical about going in that casket, because even though it was homemade, I'm afraid of caskets and stuff like that. Especially he gonna nail me closed. Yeah, and then it was hot that night, and then after they put me in there, I couldn't hardly breathe, but I calmed myself down. I had to lay still, and I calmed myself down in the casket.
Did you voice any objection to doing the match, or you were all for doing the match?
Yeah, I was all for doing it. I was all for doing the match, but it's just that casket that I was a little hesitant of.
What did you think of the angles leading up to that match, where Undertaker on TV would wheel the casket to the ring or show you the casket and you'd run off scared through the crowd?
Yeah, I love doing stuff like that. Yeah. That's me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's why I could do it so well. I love doing stuff like that.
Whose idea was that angle? And the whole casket match idea?
I don't know if it was Vince or some of the bookers or who, but I sure enjoyed it. Yeah.
What did you think of the booking team at WWF at that time?
The booking team was all right. They was all right. It's just that it wasn't no justice. And like if I wanted to do, my word didn't mean a hill of beans. I could say I want to do this way or do this way. It was their way or no way.
When were you approached with the idea of turning babyface?
Uh, it was in, I think it was in 92 or 93. Excuse me, Vince.
It's after the Undertaker program.
Yeah, Vince told me that he could make me a lot of money doing the babyface and by turning me babyface and selling merchandise. But it never happened. Out of all the years that I was off and on with the WWF, and they made, I think, 2 figures of me, the whole time I might have received almost $30,000 from that date to now.
Did you like the idea of turning babyface?
No, because I'm a heel at heart. But when Vince approached me with it, I just wasn't no need of saying no because he was out of there anyway, so I just went with it because I figured that's what he wanted.
Were you happy with the way the whole angle turning your babyface planned out?
No, no, not at all.
What didn't you like about it?
Well, first thing, I didn't like being a babyface. And the heel that I worked against, it was no response. Because I was, to the people, they acted as if I was still a heel. And that's what I like doing, is working heel anyway.
So you don't think the angle worked at all?
No.
What did you think of the skits where Slick tried to make you like more civilized?
Yeah, I liked that pretty well, but I don't think it got over.
Yeah.
Not at all.
The most famous one is where he taught you how to bowl. Like,
yeah.
Whose idea were those skits?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Vince or who.
Okay.
I don't know.
Did you enjoy doing them?
Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. Yeah, I enjoyed doing that.
Was there anybody besides the guys we've talked about who you liked or didn't like to work with during this time in WWF?
No. I can't think of anybody that I just didn't like to work with. There's some that I, like working with more than others, but that's about it.
Who did you like working with besides Undertaker and Warrior?
And besides Hogan, I like Bret Hart. I like working with Owen Hart. Hercules Hernandez, I worked with him some. Billy Jack Haynes, I had great matches with him. That's about all I can think of right now, but I know it's more.
Okay. You had a title match against Shawn Michaels on Raw. Do you have any memories of that match?
Yeah, I remember that match where he beat me in the middle, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Was that kind of on your way out? They were getting a job out of you?
Yeah, I believe it was.
What was Shawn like to work with?
He was real easy to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can work better with a small guy that can work than I can a big guy that can't work. And it's good response like that.
What was Shawn like outside the ring?
Just happy-go-lucky guy, and always cracking jokes and doing things.
How had WWF changed, like the atmosphere in the locker room, maybe the product from the first time you were there to the run in the early 90s?
They hadn't changed a whole lot because from the 80s when I first went there until left there in the 90s, it was always like they used to do in the South years ago. I could go there early. I always get to the building early because I had to put my paint on my face. And when I get there, Steve and I will find me a good dressing room. I get there and get to put my paint on my face, and here comes some of the agents. They'll take and put some of the other guy's name on the door and ask me to leave out of the dressing room. And that was bad. They did that the whole time I was there. So what Steve would do is find some old curtain or something like this corner of the building here, and they're tied up across there so I have a little privacy. It'd be hot in the summertime and cold in the winter, and I had to try to put the paint on my face the best I can because see, I ain't good enough to be in that dressing room.
What do you think that was?
I believe it was racist, but I don't. It happened more than one time. It happened a lot of times.
Do you think Vince was maybe trying to punish you for complaining about your pay, or think it went back to that?
I don't know, cause see, Vince went on. He was just on that television.
Yeah.
He didn't do the house shows, and these were the agents that doing it. I'm not for sure if Vince was fully aware of that or not.
Who were the agents at the time?
Chief J. Strongbow, Rene Goulet, Pat Patterson. And Pat was always a nice guy. He didn't, just as long as you get along, he didn't care. Chief J. Strongbow. It was a bunch of different agents.
Were there any, besides the agents, did you have any problems with anybody else in the locker room?
No. No, I didn't have any problems.
Why did your run in WWF end on this run?
I think that they had just used me up and just didn't have anything else to do with it.
Did they tell you that you were released?
Yeah, what had happened is in 1993, my sister got killed. I was in California. Her husband killed her and killed the daughter. So I was wrestling Papa Shanga that night. And I got back and they told me the news, so I called Linda and told her. She said, well, I'm pretty sure, Vince, I want you to go home. So I went home and to the funeral and all that kind of stuff. That was a difficult time for me. Then I came back to the WWF and they gave me my notice right then during that time. And I think I had like a week left. They gave me like a week notice and I was out of there.
Were you surprised that they gave you your notice?
Yeah, I was surprised. And it took me about a month before I got my little $17,000.
Did they give you any kind of reason why they were giving you your notice?
No, but they tell you like most promoters will tell you, look, you've done a great job for us and we'd like to have you back. And that's been 11 years ago. I hadn't been back since, not in the territory. I just made a couple of shots and that was it. And that was it. So I didn't want to have nothing else to do with wrestling after that, but which I did a couple of years later though.
What did you do right after the WWF run? What were your plans for your future?
I didn't know what to do. The only thing I know is trucking. So I went and bought me an old raggedy truck. It was the best that I could do because I didn't have any money. And I bought me an old truck and I went to work. And it broke down so much I was just steady going in the hole. And I almost started there. But the only good thing is I did have a home that was paid for. And that came from Bill Watson Junkyard Dog. That's the only thing I had going for myself. No money.
Okay, before we move on with the future, I just want to get a couple of thoughts of some of the managers that you had in WWF over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Blassie.
Yeah, classic Freddie Blassie. He was a good manager. I enjoyed working with him. It was a short time though, but I enjoyed working with him.
Curtis Iaquiga.
Yeah, he was a mouthpiece. Now I worked with him, I believe, almost a year. Yeah, he was real good. Always encouraging, and I had a good time with him.
Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji, he was all right. He treated me good, but he didn't fit my gimmick. So that wasn't. It was all right, but he just didn't fit my gimmick, and I didn't think that was for me. So if it didn't fit my gimmick, I couldn't enjoy it. And there wasn't nothing against Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji was known, he's pretty infamous for pulling a lot of ribs. Did you ever witness any of his work?
No, I've heard of some though, but I never witnessed any of them.
How about Slick?
Yeah, Slick was he's a real minister, and Slick was always good to work with.
Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah, he was great to work with. We used to rib him a lot, and he was he about the only somebody, him and Steve Lombardi, that we would kind of rib each other a little bit.
Yeah. Any big ribs or just kind of small stuff?
No, just kind of small stuff. Like I remember once we glued glued his cap to the ceiling of the building, and it was time for us to go out, and he couldn't get it. We used to do stuff like take shaving cream when we get ready to go out. You can't feel it, and then Steve Lombardi would spray it all on the back of his head, and he'd go out with a big white cloth back there. And I remember once we was in Alaska, and Bruno had just come out of the shower and he had washed his hair, and we told him, "Come on, Bruno, we got to go." And so we snatched him out the door, and just that quick his hair froze, and we broke it off. Yeah, little stuff like that.
What were your feelings towards Vince McMahon and the McMahon family after the second WWF run? Were you real bitter towards the business and them, or?
Yeah, I was real bitter toward the business, but and there was nothing that I could do. I just figured, I said, well, Vince just he used me. He wouldn't pay me, and I say the reason that he wouldn't pay me, other than because I'm black, is because I'm from Mississippi, down south. We don't know a lot. Supposedly we don't know a lot, and just give us a few dollars and we happy. And yeah, I often, a lot of time I say, maybe Vince will think back, of all the money that I've helped through him, and how he underpaid me, that he would just open up his heart, and one day I'll see a check in the mail, a nice size check. I don't want nothing that's not due to me, but I know that money's due to me from Vince, and I know I won't ever get it.
How do you feel about Vince McMahon today?
I believe in forgiving, but I know I won't ever forget. But they brought me back for a few shows, and I kind of have a change of heart, because I'm so easy to get along with, and I forgive, and just try not to think about it. And I thank him for bringing me back, and then that's it. And I know when he bring me back for a little, like the gimmick battle royal, and then he just brought me back for Raw. I know he thinking that I might be, hey Vince, look at him talking. Is there any way you can bring me back and do this with me? Can you do this? But see, I don't do that. I don't do that. So I didn't see him after we did the show, this last show. I didn't see him after that. But a couple of nights ago, I got a call, and it was from Stephanie. She left a message saying how much she enjoyed it and how she thanked me for being a part of the show, and said I'll be talking with you in the future. And that made me feel so good. It really made me feel good.
What's your impressions of the McMahon kids, Shane and Stephanie?
Now, I just met Stephanie when we were doing Raw, but she said she had met me when she was a little girl, but I can't remember. But I knew Sean back when he wasn't a part of the business then, when I was there. I had met him then. And so I don't know nothing about him. No one, just seeing him on television.
Going back to 1993, after you left WWF for 93, 94, and you mentioned you had no money, the terrible thing just happened with your family. What did you see as your future at that point?
The only thing I knew was trucking. And so when I started back in trucking, it was so hard, broke down all the time, because I didn't have money to get me a decent truck, a good truck. Broke down, I just didn't know what to do. So finally, Hogan was in the WCW. And Hogan called me and asked me, was I interested in coming into WCW? I said, yeah. And so I went down there, and I was, looking to get some kind of contract. They wouldn't even give me a contract. And Hogan, he tried to help me as much as he could. And this guy, Eric Bischoff, which I think he stinks, he would walk right across my feet and wouldn't even speak. And I told Hogan once, I said, Hogan, look, I ain't making no money here. I got to get out of here. I can't stay here for nothing. So Hogan called Eric up and told Eric that, you know, that he need to pay me. He gave me $800 per shot. After that, he cut my days back. It was like 2 days a week. Then I had to pay for hotel and all that stuff out of it. He just really treated me, you know, I hate to use the expression, but he treated me like shit. And that's where I felt too. So, and I remember I was in the main event with Hogan. Well, I don't know if it was a main event, but it was on a pay-per-view, Bash on the Beach in 1995. And my paycheck for that pay-per-view was the worst. I don't know what Hogan made, but I know he had to make some big money off of it. I got $800 for a pay-per-view. Not $8,000, but $800. $800 is all I got. I went to Hogan, I said, Hogan, I said, look, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. You want me to talk to him again? I said, Hogan, I said, I appreciate it. But if I ain't man enough to can talk to him myself and they'll listen to me, then I don't even need to be here. And I left. And I wouldn't even talk to wrestlers. I wouldn't even, from 95 until that gimmick battle royal, I wouldn't do nothing.
Why do you think the pay was so low from Bischoff?
I don't know. I just wasn't figured in. He didn't, but even people that wasn't figured in made more money than I did. I guess because I sit back and don't say nothing. But now that's one guy, that Eric Bischoff, and I mean, I tell him to his face, I don't like him. I don't like him because he treated me like I was a nobody when I was down in WCW, and that was wrong.
Did you ever try to talk to Eric Bischoff about the money situation or how he was treating you?
Yeah, I called him a couple of times, and he told me, said, look, we're going to try to get you a contract, but don't be going having Hogan calling me. But he never did. And every time I would call, he was always out, he's on the phone, and when I see him at the building, he didn't have time to talk to me. So.
What did you try anybody else in WCW management?
No, I didn't know of anybody else to try that.
What did you think of the whole Faces of Fear gimmick in WCW, or did it not mean anything to you at that point? Did you still enjoy performing?
Not really. Not really. If I can't make a living, I can't really enjoy it.
We skipped over All Japan. How did you end up going to Japan?
In 1984 was my first time in Japan. They called me about coming to Japan, and I was glad to go. They told me that they were going to use me real good, and I went to Japan for 1 week. They used me real good for that week. They told me they wanted me back in a couple of weeks. In a month or so, I went back. Excuse me. I went back. They wanted me to do a job. I said, no, y'all, I ain't gonna let you beat me. The Road Warrior was there. I said, no, y'all ain't gonna beat me. Well, you need to be nice to Barbara. This Barbara's anniversary. I said, fuck Barbara and his anniversary. Hell, it ain't my damn anniversary. That's what I told him. Barbara said, you better be nice, or he won't bring you back. I said, fuck these goddamn tight-eyed Japs. I ain't got to come back here. Y'all asked me to come. And that's what I did. I did. Fuck them. And I left out of there, and they called me back again. The next time I went back, big fat-ass, funk-ass Abdullah the Butcher. He was there, which is, I get along with Abdullah when I'm, around wrestling. That's the only time. He's a no good, big, fat, funk-ass thing.
Why do you say that about him?
Because Abdullah kept all the blacks out of Japan even before I started wrestling. I heard for over 30 years.
Really?
He kept all blacks out. If a black go to Japan, Abdullah got to get 15% of his pay. But when I went there, they had fired his big ass out over there. they had fired Abdullah from Japan. So they, when they brought me in, the second time when I went back, that's why they wanted me to do a job. They had them brought Abdullah back. And they tell me that the Mafia brought him back, but I don't know much about that kind of stuff. But I know that he was back in Japan. And Abdullah came to me and said, Baba said he want to talk to you. We went over there, that big Abdullah sitting there. Baba said, we're going to have to cut your pay about $500. I said, you ain't going to cut shit of mine because I'm going to go. I ain't coming back. But what been promising me, I want that. And they gave it to me. Big Abdullah talking about, but you know, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. I said, look, this is my damn deal. This ain't your deal. You just sit your big fat funk ass over there and shut up. And so I left Japan. They called me back again. I went back again. And Abdullah always kind of on my side after that. So they wanted me to do a job again for Johnny Ace. And I said, Johnny, I would do a job for you. I said, but they ain't paying me enough to do a job for you, and they ain't got no plans for me. And so me, Abdullah, and this other guy, Kamala too, that they call him the fake Kamala, we was all sitting there, 3 black guys in one room. So Abdullah said, after they left out of there, Abdullah said, now, they gonna think I told you that. Because those 3 black guys sitting there together, they gonna think I told you not to do a job. How about when the referee come back over here? I'm gonna be trying to get you to do the job, and you be saying that you can say no, hell no, I ain't gonna do it. So I said, I'll do that for your big scary ass, and so that's what I did. When the referee came back, they had Abdullah and Kamala too. Come on, Kamala, go and do the job for him. Go and do the job for him. I said, hell no, I ain't doing it. I ain't gonna do it. That's what they wanted me to do. Because Abdullah was scared of his job. I didn't give a shit about mine because hell, I wasn't making nothing no way.
Why do you think Abby tried to keep African Americans out of Japan to protect his gimmick?
Yeah, and that way he'll be the only black. That's his talk. That's Abdullah's talk. The only black in Japan. He want to be the only one. And quite naturally, he gonna make some money. He made money in Japan, big money. But he'll cut your throat.
Now you did go back to All Japan in the '90s, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That
was when the whole Johnny Ace thing happened, right?
No, that was before then. When I went back in the '90s, that was for Vince.
Okay.
That was when I was getting ready to go into the WWF, and Vince them sent me over there. It was J.J. Dillon got me the deal to go to Japan and then come back to Vince.
Did you like wrestling in front of the Japanese crowds?
Yeah, I like wrestling in front of them. I didn't like Japan. It's just something about Japan that's just depressing. But they was all right. They don't make a lot of noise. But it was all right.
What do you think about Kamala too? Did you think that was a good idea to have a gimmick like that?
No, that's Abdullah's to try to hurt me. That was his gimmick to try to hurt me. But I told the guy, I told him myself, I said, if you can make $1 million, then more power to you.
Let's talk about the gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. What was it like finally making it to a WrestleMania since you hadn't been on one at that point?
It was different because I had never been on a WrestleMania before, and they called me up and asked me about coming, and I accepted. But when I got there, Steve Lombardi told me, said, James, it ain't like it used to be. You can sit in any dressing room you want to. So anyway, but besides that, the battle royal and everything, it was good. I enjoyed it being there, but I was in a hurry to get back home. You know, just like it was from Raw. Now I enjoyed myself being there at Raw, and I felt that everybody was coming up to me, shaking my hand, made me feel at home, made me feel so welcome.
That was a couple of weeks ago for the Diva search.
Yeah. So the guys didn't know I was there. The boys, they didn't know I was there. They sneaked me in, and so it was. I enjoyed that.
Okay. How did the guys treat you at WrestleMania 17?
They treated me good. Yeah, they treated me good.
Were you happy with the payoff from that show?
Yeah, I was happy with the payoff. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Did you feel like that maybe that was the make good from Vince?
No, I don't think so, because they wouldn't have made good.
Yeah.
No.
When you went for that gimmick battle royal, did they tell you, oh, we're going to bring you back, or did they tell you it was just a one-shot deal?
They told me it was just Well, they just said we just want you for the gimmick battle royal. They didn't say if it was a one-shot deal or not. But then, after it's over with, then I'm ready to go. Because I don't want them to think I'm standing around trying to get a shot at Vince, or I didn't even see Vince. I spotted him, but I didn't go to him, because I don't do that. Go to him and beg him for a job and all that kind of stuff, because I know my time is up. I'm 54 years old, and I don't mind nobody know it. I can't keep up with those young guys now. But I do believe if he brought me back, that I still could help to be a credit to the business some kind of way. But I'm not going to ask him to bring me back.
Why do you think that was the only WrestleMania show you were on? Weren't you supposed to do one with Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah, I was supposed to do one with Bam Bam Bigelow. And it never came out. I was there.
Okay. Was there any reason why it was pulled from that show? I think it was WrestleMania 9 it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't remember the number. I don't know. I don't know why they pulled it.
On that diva search, what's your reaction to that whole, to the divas and those girls that were on it?
I didn't really understand it. I didn't understand it when they called me up and asked me about doing that. It was like on a Friday night when I got the message, and I called Tom Pritchard back, and he told me he didn't know what they wanted me to do. And so I didn't even know what a diva was, because see, only time I see wrestling on television is some of my children or someone's watching it. Or I go to somebody's house and they watch it, because I don't watch it. So I didn't really understand it. But after I got there and they sneaked me in, and Stephanie and Vince both came back where I was, and they, welcomed me and told me what they wanted me to do. And I told them, it was fine with me. I enjoyed doing it now.
Yeah.
Anything like that, I enjoy doing it.
What part of that did you enjoy? The comedy aspect?
Yeah. I believe I could do good in comedy.
How was Vince treating you? I mean, did he seem like he wanted to bring you back, or?
I couldn't tell, but you mean during the Raw?
Yeah.
He came to me and he shook my hand, hugged me, and told me, said, it's good to have you here, and I really appreciate you coming. He told me that a bunch of times, but not like he wanted to bring me back. I mean, I don't see what he could use me for now, unless to do some kind of little specials, not to get in the ring. I mean, I'd get in the ring, but I don't want to get in there and, as old as I am, and make myself look stupid.
How have you physically held up over the years? Are your knees good? Are you beat up at all?
Yeah, no, so far my knees is good, and they don't hurt or nothing like that, but here lately I can feel them just a little bit weak, and that's because I don't do the exercise like I should. But when I start doing exercise, then they good to go. I don't have no problem with no water on them or nothing like that.
The rest of you feels good?
Yeah.
How come you think that you're not as physically beat up as some of the other veterans?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of them, they just take more chances than I would take, and I wouldn't take any chances on getting myself hurt, so nothing like that. And one thing, I wasn't getting paid for, but I still wouldn't want to get hurt all up and be broke all up for, when I get older. I still want to enjoy myself. So far, I think I'm in pretty decent shape.
Okay. How about when you went back at the Raw? You mentioned everybody was coming up and shaking your hand in the locker room.
Yeah.
Did you feel that they were paying you a lot of respect as a veteran and everything that you've accomplished?
I do. I really do. And most of the guys that were coming up to me, I didn't know them. I just didn't know them. Because they wasn't there during the time, they wasn't there during my time. And I don't watch television, watch wrestling. But that really made me feel good. I've been watching you for a long time. And I remember when you used to scare me. I used to put my hand over my eyes when you would come on television and stuff like that. And they was real nice.
Okay. Out of all the guys who played Kimchi and Friday throughout your career, who was your favorite to work with and your least favorite to work with?
Steve Lombardi. He was my favorite. Steve Lombardi and I, we hit it off good, and he was a good friend. He ended up being a good friend of mine, and we always stayed together. And he knew I didn't have no money. They would always share rooms with me and stuff like that, and we'd go out to eat together. He helped me protect the gimmick. And myself, Harvey Whippleman, and Steve Lombardi. I love that team. I enjoyed that.
Was there anyone that you didn't like?
No, it wasn't nobody that I didn't like. But you know, Steve and I and then Harvey Whippleman just was my favorite.
Now, you mentioned there were times in your career where you're obviously very bitter at the payoff and bitter about how you're treated and everything. You don't seem like a bitter man at all right now. Are you bitter about the business? Like, when you look back at your career, what springs to mind?
I think about when I was in main events with Hogan and Andre and all those guys. If Vince, even if he didn't pay me fair, if he didn't pay me what I should have, you know, been made, if he just had paid me decent, then I could have, you know, I could live a good, comfortable life right now because I don't blow no money. I don't live no big, extravagant lifestyle or nothing like that. I'm just an old country boy from Mississippi. Just love to eat and just give me something to ride in, and that's it. I don't have to have the big Mercedes and all the big fine cars or nothing like that. I just need to live a simple life. That's all I want. And I wouldn't have to be now. Right now, I drive a truck. I don't even have my own truck no more. I can't afford it. So I live by driving truck for a friend of mine now. And he let me go out. I can go out and on weekends and do independent shows anytime I want to. He know what I've been through because he about the only somebody I sit down and talk my business to, you know.
What kind of reaction do you get on the independent shows?
I get good reaction, and the independent guys, the only thing I can say about them, they'll get all your pictures from you. They all want a picture, and I give them pictures, and they all like to take pictures with me. And the same as they did on the WWE show up there when I was at the Raw. But that shocked me at Raw. I didn't think they would have done something like that, you know, and being in the WWE, but they did. And I think that was nice.
You work a few Memphis reunion shows now. What are those like?
They all right. They had a few good houses there. Well, they had one good house there. And then I'm doing my music now, and they is kind of promoting it a little bit. And, you know, I'm kind of enjoying it. There ain't no money there, but it might be in the future.
What are you doing with music?
Well, I'm singing and, you know, playing the keyboard, and I'm doing my own. I done wrote about 50 songs in the last year, and I got them on CD. And I got my own little studio in the house, little portable studio in the house where I do it. I do everything right there.
Okay. Looking back on your wrestling career, would you do the whole thing again?
No, I wouldn't do it again because I think that I would have to go through the same thing, and I don't want to go through that no more. I'd rather just have a from 8 to 5 job than to go through what I've been through in wrestling.
What would you say, was there anything besides like the pay that was like the worst part of the wrestling business?
Yeah, because, I mean, I admit it. That's what I was in there for, the pay, but I wanted to work for it. I wanted to earn it. And if I earn it, then give me my money. And that's what I was in there for, to stay in there a few years, make me some big money, and get out of it. Do something else, be around home, which I love being around home.
Okay. Couple of guys just throughout your career, just a couple of words on them that you worked with, Yokozuna.
Yeah, Yokozuna was a good friend of mine too. I like working with him, and now that's a big guy that could work, and I enjoyed it. Now he's a guy that I done a job for, and I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. Well, I done a job for a lot of guys and didn't mind it. Yeah.
What was Yokozuna like outside the ring?
Uh, he was a friendly, big, jolly guy, and he loved to eat, which I do too. And that's when I would hang out with him when he was eating. And he was a good guy. I never known him to be a troublemaker, do a lot of drugs and stuff like that. But he was a good guy.
How about in Japan? Was there anybody that you really liked to work with or didn't like to work with?
The only somebody I liked working with in Japan was one guy, and I think he's deceased now. And that's Jumbo Saruda. Yeah.
What do you think about the style in Japan? Because it's a very hard-hitting style, especially All Japan.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't. They go by rounds, I think. It's been so long since I've been there. But anyway, I just don't like Japan at all. I don't like the style of wrestling. Don't like the promoters either.
Yeah. How about some of the guys over there, like some of the famous All Japan names like Kobashi, Masawa, Kawada? Did you get a chance to work those guys? Did you like it?
Yeah, I worked with some of those guys with the Japanese name. I just can't remember all the names. But I worked with a lot of the Japanese, and I mean, it was all right for it to be in Japan, but it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. How about performing in front of those crowds compared to like the wild crowds of Mid-South and World Class?
Yeah, that seemed like it was hard because I like I like the reaction. I like respond and stuff like that, and that just don't happen in Japan. Once in a while it might, but they just sit there and it's ooh, and I mean that was it. I want them to scream and holler, Kamala, kill him. That's what I like. I like to hear stuff like that.
How about the Great Kabuki? What was he like?
Yeah, he was real good there. I liked him. Yeah.
Was he nice outside the ring?
Yeah, he was nice outside the ring. He was quiet too.
Crusher Jerry Blackwell.
Yeah, I think I worked with him.
You did one match in AWA with him.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. For that one match, it was all right. I enjoyed
it. George the Animal Steel.
I love working with him. Yeah, he was a good guy too. I love working with him. I worked with him in Madison Square Garden and then all over. We had some good matches together. They were funny matches, but they was good.
Was it the comedy aspect that you liked?
Yeah, good response and everything.
What was he like outside the ring?
George was always pulling jokes and things. Had some kind of little gimmicks he wanted to show you, and stuff like that. He was a enjoyable person to be around.
You also had a few matches with Ricky Steamboat. What was it like working Steamboat?
We had real good matches together because I'm a big man and he's a little man, and he really made me look good. He knows how to make me look good, and I enjoyed that.
What was he like outside the ring?
He a real good guy, always coming in and with a smile, always with a smile on his face. Him and his wife, Bunny, they was always real nice to everybody. I know they was nice to me.
How about Coco Beware?
Yeah, Coco lived around Memphis. I see him every once in a while. He was Coco and I get along. We get together every once in a while and eat dinner. He's all right.
Iceman King Parsons.
He kind of wild. Cause I ain't never been too much on chasing women, but Iceman chased those women though. Yeah. So, but besides that, he's still a good guy. I mean, he's a good guy even though he chased women.
Jimmy Valiant.
He's cool. Yeah, I'm working with him pretty soon.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, on one of his last shows.
What's it like working a guy again after so many years have passed since the last time you worked him?
Jimmy Valiant, because I hadn't worked him since the 80s. And I don't know how it's going to be, but I believe it's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it because I like old Jimmy.
How about Austin Idol?
I can't remember ever working. It seemed like I did work with Austin Idol.
Yeah, you worked with him a couple of times.
Yeah, but I can't remember our match.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans out there?
This is my big chance. I would like to say that I thank all the wrestling fans, the ones that have booed me and the ones that have cheered me. Over the years, it's not your fault because I didn't make money. You couldn't tell the difference. When I went in that ring, I gave you all 100%. And that's what I was there for. Even though I was cheated, I didn't want to cheat you all out of anything. And I want y'all to be prepared for my new career. My CD should be out soon. I don't know exactly when, but it should be out soon. I want y'all to buy it. I want you to cheer me like you did and boo me, but just buy my CD. That's about it.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And I've had a blast.